All right. Welcome to the Freakcast. We're going to go live here in a minute. Before we do, we'll play our little intro, but we're glad you're joining in with us. We'll give people a few minutes to join in. Wants to come in tonight. Got an awesome guest. Super excited about having Ryan on here. And I can't wait to tell you his story and tell you how we met. And so we'll get to that in just a minute. But until then, let's play our intro and let some people join in with us, hopefully. All right.
There's no air in this room. I'm somewhere, lost my shoes. In this mind, you will see who you're really gonna be. Hollowed out, filled with sin. Keeping watch, I don't pretend. Feelings thrown into the ground. Pick it up, spin around. Stay true, I don't wanna be here in this room. Stay true, I don't wanna be here in this room.
All right. Hey, welcome to the Freakcast tonight. My name is Stephen Carroll. I guess I'm the head freak of this production. And we are glad that you've joined in with us, whether you're watching us live on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, or X rather, I guess, or if you've joined in with us on Spotify, iTunes, or maybe you're rewatching this later on our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining in. We're glad you're here and glad that you've joined in with us. We always tell, that was our theme song. It's called Stay True. Love the name of it. Love the words to it. It's kind of just epitomizes. I remember when it's my son's song. And the first time that I heard the song, I always have loved it. And then when I started about the podcast and the Freakcast, I thought that was perfect because it's all about staying true to who we are and staying true to what we're about through whatever we may face. And so that's what it's all about. I always tell people that every story matters. And kind of our theme, there's a verse that I've always loved, where it talks about how that they overcame the enemy by the power of what they knew in their faith, and then through the word of their testimony. And so all that's important to me. Our stories and our testimonies are what we can share with other people. And the verse talks about how they overcame that because of their relationship with Jesus and also the power of their story. Tonight, man, we have got a guest that I'm super excited to have on, and I want to get him on here. But before we do, make sure you share this, if you will. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you go and do that. Share it with other people. If you're watching us on Facebook, or maybe you catch this later on Facebook, share it if you don't mind. Let people know what's going on, because these stories matter. And this is our 15th episode of the Freakcast. And we want to make sure we've got all these different people that have shared their hearts, shared their testimonies. And we believe a lot of people can be encouraged about what they share and what you can hear as they give. I don't know. They tell exactly what they've been going through. It's a big deal. So, all right, tonight. So I was in the Infusion Room in January of this year, and I met this guy, and man, when I did, it was instant connection. And I'll tell you why in just a few minutes. So I want to bring him on over here. His name is Ryan Pfeiffer, and here he is. Ryan, thanks for joining us,
Guys,
man.
how you doing, Steve?
Dude, I'm great. And
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy scenario how we met. That's for sure.
I know. So we're in the Infusion Room. And I'll let Ryan tell you a little bit more about his diagnosis in a few minutes. But we're sitting there, and Ryan, it's like what? There's 4 chairs on each side. So there's 8 chairs. I think, is it right? Are there 8 chairs in
Yeah.
a section?
So to give it the grander scale, I asked this question in the beginning of Infusion of just how many chairs that they seat. There's 198 chairs on that floor.
I never have asked that question. I'm glad you asked that question. That's
Yeah, it was
crazy.
important to me, man. It was, you see
Yeah.
everybody in the lobby, you see everybody getting the blood work done. They go down from 4 to 3. They start getting the infusion stuff, and you start meeting, like when I met you, everybody in this whole journey that we're on together is it's this sense of gratefulness to be here, you know, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what stage they're in and what condition they're in. They're just like, man, I got another day, you know.
I
So
know.
I wanted to know how many people a day can actually be in that infusion room, because I wanted something to think about, you know. So I just
Yeah.
asked the question, man, how many chairs? 198.
I've wondered, and I never asked the question. So I'm glad you said that. I'm glad
Very
you,
cool.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that so often that and you know, as good as I mean, as well as I do, we've been there so many times. It's like that waiting room is packed, right? And then I guess that infusion room at time is completely full. So you're thinking 198 people in there.
Yeah, and
Um,
guys like myself, I'm there all day. I get
mm-hmm.
there, in the morning. I do my blood work and I wait. That's usually at about 9 o'clock, and by like 10:30, I'm in the infusion room, and I'm usually one of the last to leave. At least in my
Yeah.
scenario for the cocktail that they put me on. It took a little
Right.
bit. So,
Yeah.
you're you know how it is sometimes. Sometimes you feel like talking, sometimes you don't. Sometimes there's
Yeah.
there's just this communication that starts, and kind of like you and I, and it was just like, man, it passed the time so fast. You know what I
I
mean? Like
know.
usually I'm there, I'm like, oh, this takes so long. Let me take a
Yeah.
nap. Man, we talked for what, 2 hours maybe?
I don't know. It was a long time.
It was a long
And the way
time.
we connected was so I'm see you I see you come in, and of course you know my freak shirt. You got your freak shirt on, right?
I do.
Yeah. So you guys that are listening on Spotify or iTunes or whatever later, we're in there, and Ryan's got a shirt on that says freak, and I have my freak shirt on. So we're in there, and I see Ryan come in, and when he comes in immediately, I see the word freak on his shirt, and I'm like, oh crap, that dude, he's got freak on his shirt too. So I had to come talk to you, and because obviously I've been wearing this to all my treatments from the get go. I don't know if
Yep.
I think I told you that, like the first day that I was headed up there. I guess it was August. I think it was August the 11th of 2022,
Uh,
and it was the first week of 15 weeks, in a row
oof.
that I had treatment, and so I thought, you know how it is. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know anything about it, and I'm like,
It's the night
man, it's
before
weird.
was like the anxiety, right? The night before your
Yeah,
first infusion, you're like, I've heard the worst stories, I've heard the best stories, and where do I fit in that scenario? What part of
yeah,
the spectrum
exactly.
am I going to be on? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's nerve-wracking, man, that first day.
yeah, I know it is. And so whenever you walked in and you had the freak shirt on, I was like, it was an instant connection. I'm just like, dude, where'd you get the shirt? And
Yeah, that was the first thing. And as soon as you said, I was trying to pick and choose where I'm going to sit. I think it was just me, you, and one other guy on the other side.
yeah,
And then as soon as you said that, and you're like, "Hey, man, nice shirt," or something, or "Where'd you get the shirt?" And I kind of went into the story of the reason why I got the freak shirt. And when you told me your reason of the freak shirt, that's even crazier, right? So
yeah.
25 years ago, you get this shirt. It actually has to be the same color as the multiple myeloma. That it's
I
just
know.
it's crazy, man. So that intrigued me, right? Because
Yeah,
I've kind of lived my life as there are really no coincidences, right? We
right.
are supposed to be where we're supposed to be. Sometimes it feels a little foreign and like we should be somewhere else, but be patient, man. It'll all make sense.
Yeah, exactly. There's no doubt. I mean, I know that when you walked in, and honestly, you're the first guest that I've had on here that I want to be, many more in the future of just different people that I connect with, whether it's
Yep.
through Uber, and we can talk about that later, or through infusions or whatever. But I remember after we talked and we just went through everything, which we can get to in a minute, I was like, dude, you got to be on this thing. So that was what January, and we just have kind
Yep.
of kept clicking along. Wasn't it January? Yeah, it was
Yeah,
January,
it was
right?
it was I think it was my fourth or fifth infusion, and I had like one or two left. And
Yeah,
what I had said was, my off weeks I feel great. my
yeah,
my week on infusion, I don't think we can make it happen. So,
yeah,
and with work schedules and life and everything, but
yeah,
hey, we're
yeah,
here now, and we're making it happen. And
yeah.
I agreed with you then, and I agree with you now that letting people hear our stories and just being able to tell somebody our stories is therapeutic. in itself,
Yeah,
right?
100%. And it's
There's
just
there's no,
powerful.
yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that me just being able to process and talk with somebody else who's going through something similar, where none of us are the exact same, right? But going
Right.
through something similar, and I don't mean similar cancer diagnoses. I mean the after effect of the anxiety, the sleepless nights, the when you're alone in your bed and your whole family's asleep, and the worry and the concern. It's like when someone understands that in the background and you don't have to explain it to them,
Right.
it's a really, really smooth, great conversation.
Yeah, it's instant connection. And I think,
Yeah.
like you said earlier, it's like, there's some people in there and, they don't want to talk. There's some days you don't want to talk, right? But I don't know, just that day was, and for me, man, I'll tell you, Ryan, this is so exciting because of the context of the whole relationship. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, we didn't even know each other.
No,
And
this was from
yeah, the
January to
connection was
now.
the cancer. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've known you my freaking whole life.
Listen, man, there's a whole lot of things that I've done in my life, and this is probably one of the coolest. I've
Yeah.
been around, I've been in bands, I've traveled everywhere, I've owned a I've done a lot of things, and for some reason, the truth is that none of that stuff really matters. The life experiences were great, but being able to share something so important, and it's not that my story is important, but being able to share that all stories are important and
Right.
everybody's stories can help somebody. Look, I think about things a certain way, you think about things a certain way, we have a lot of similarities, but where we differ is where we learn.
That's
And
right.
I'm going through this for the first time just like you are. And
Yeah.
the only people that I can learn from are people that have been going through it, or people have been through it, or you can't learn from your doctors, you can't learn from the people that are giving you infusions. None of them know it. They
Yeah.
see what the results are, but they don't know it. And
Yeah.
to be able to connect with somebody who knows those crucial moments when I guess when you feel like you're alone, right, with your
Yeah.
own thoughts, it's really comforting to know that somebody out there is taking that information and processing it in a different way. You meet them, you communicate with them, and you come out with a different result. And maybe the next time you think about that thing, it's not anxiety fueled, it's not
Right.
fueled with fear. I think that was the biggest part for me was fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, and the unknown, because and you fear the unknown, but because you don't know what's out there. I mean, I think, and as you're talking, two things. One is this is the way that life should be. This is what's missing in like tonight's. I think tonight's Super Tuesday, right?
Yep.
Politically or something like that, right? I didn't even watch TV. I have no idea. And so, so you got
You
that
mean you're in
going
the same
on.
boat, man?
Yeah. So I mean, whatever. But I think that's the whole deal. It's like there's not enough communication. That's why I love podcasts. Like I love Joe Rogan. I love Joe Rogan's podcast. I love listening to
100%.
that and some others that
Yep.
I listen to. There's a guy named Ryan Holiday, and I read his stuff, and my son works for him. But it's this idea that this is the kind of stuff that changes people's lives. This is the kind of stuff that makes a difference by connecting with people. And I mean, that's just the most powerful thing that we can do.
When
And
you are so when you attach yourself to an outcome and you start a process, you kind of start modifying and molding that thing to the process. This thing is so organic that you're doing here is this is how life should be. That
yeah,
you didn't say, "Hey, I'm going to start a podcast and it's going to be about this and that and whatever." This is something extremely important to you. You started the podcast of saying, "I want to hear everybody's story and I want to be able
yeah,
to produce it and put it out for the masses." So someone, if just someone could get a hold of this thing and help them through a day, an
yeah,
hour, something, you know what I mean? And that's where, I thought it was amazing when you told me this scenario. Like I was like, "You're really doing that?" Like that's yes, I want to be a part of that. Of course. Like it's a no-brainer. This is
yeah.
easy.
Well, and I appreciate you saying the way you said it too, because that's truly the heart of this thing. It's like I say this story all the time, but there was a guy I had on here. I think the third time I think the third episode, and of course we were just chatting, and he's like, well, how many people did you have? Um, how many people did we have watching? I was like, dude, I don't even know. I said the point is we showed up and we did this thing,
Yep.
and we put it out there, and now it's out there. And I'm gonna do a series of like promotional videos where I put like a green screen and have pictures of the podcast and pictures of the individual, and just do like a 30-second blip,
Oh, that's
just saying,
cool.
hey, this is what I'm saying, this is who this is. Like, for instance, hey, this is Ryan. He was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. I met him in the infusion room. Incredible story, that kind of thing, and then put it out there. So hopefully people can connect with it too, but I don't know, man. I appreciate you saying that. I think that's what this. I don't think I know that's what this is about. And that verse, like we've talked about before. I mean, faith is faith, and but it's the our people's testimonies. That's where the people connect. That's how people heal. Whether it's AA or whether it's recovery or whether it's in a job setting or it's in a conference or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, on
Those
both
are the
sides
most
of that,
powerful
right?
things, right? Yeah. I mean, whether
Yeah,
you're the
on
one
both sides
sharing
of the
it.
coin.
That's right. You're the one sharing it or you're the one listening to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I saw a video on TikTok uh, recently. It's this kid, and it's like a 7-year-old kid, and he's a left-handed batter. Reminded me of my son Jordan because he was a lefty too. And so you hear this mom in the background, and she's screaming, "He doesn't want to swing!" And then that kid just went, pop, and he just popped it and hit it out of the park. And I was like, that right there is, you have these group of people that have that negative approach to life, and you just have to keep swinging, and you just have to keep pressing through it
We've
and moving
we've
through it.
we've talked a little bit about it, but more importantly, I have a network of people around me that they it was weird in the beginning, right? It was me trying to shield, especially like family, right? My two
Yeah.
kids, I have a 15 and a 17-year-old. I've got a wife. We're extremely close. It was really difficult to tell them and share them, the diagnosis. But what it what it creates is this instant barrier, this force field, right, between your family. You kind of just get galvanized. and
Mm-hmm.
and in the first couple of weeks, it's man, people are reeling over the information. They're just like, oh my gosh, cancer, the C word, that's death, that's destruction, it's the end, it's all of these things, right? Because that's all we know. And
Right.
for some, it's true. And for you and I, we don't know how much longer we have. We don't know how much longer we get. But what it did was something extraordinary. That I would have thought something with that news would have done. And it created this overwhelming sense of gratitude every day when I wake up.
Dude. Yeah.
And it's crazy. And it's hard to
Yeah.
talk about without getting choked up.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is I've always enjoyed life. I've always loved life. How could it be better? And you think with this news, it's worse. Oh my gosh, this is such a but that's not the truth. If you really sit back and analyze what has been done, is it just said, hey, we all knew from birth to death, nobody gets a indefinite number of days on this earth. We were just fortunate enough to say, hey, start taking things a little bit more seriously now. And there's certain things that are going to be way more important than what you thought was important in the past.
Dude. So freaking good, man. That's exactly right.
Yeah. I
And,
mean,
and
and
here's the thing too, like for you to be, and that's what I keep coming back to. Like the guy I had on last week, his name was Kelly, and he said the exact same thing, Ryan. It's like, and I've said the same thing. It's like, um, one of my sons has got he's gonna be playing some music. He plays music, and
awesome.
so he's got a show next Wednesday in Austin, and I'm like, and life just looks differently. It's like I don't want to miss that,
Exactly.
because what I'm saying, those moments are important, and and you need to
There
be
was a
there.
time, when pre this, like, so to give you a little background of what I do. So I own, I'm a partner in a construction company development group. We have a lot of things going on as far as construction development plans, all of these things, and you know, the track meets here and there. I travel a lot for my job, and I would pre-diagnosis. I would, my daughter would put the phone up, and I could watch games and do whatever, and all of these things, and it's not good enough for me anymore. I want to be there.
Yeah,
I don't want to miss. I don't want to miss that event. I don't want to.
yeah,
I'll take work off. You know.
yeah.
Instead of Friday, I've got some meetings. Oh, sorry, son, I can't go do this thing. I'll try to skate out as much as I can, and really be available. You
So
know.
yeah, you sent me some pictures. So like you guys that are listening, so this is
Yeah.
your daughter, right?
Yeah, that's my daughter. So
Yeah. So if
she's
you're listening on Spotify, I'm putting some pictures up of Ryan's daughter.
yeah. So this is the district swim meet, and she
Yeah,
got 4 golds and a silver, and it's her freshman year, and I
she's
was able to
killing it,
watch it
man.
happen. Yeah, man. Like, I was able to watch it happen, and
Yeah,
those types of moments, you realize they're fleeting.
yeah,
There's a finite number of days that you get with your kids to live in your house. They'll always be around, but you won't. And
yeah,
that's how life cycles should work, right? Unfortunately, there is some opportunities, or I wouldn't say opportunities, that's a bad choice of words. There is some moments where parents have to bury their children,
yeah,
and not just in every moment of that is tragic. Some is
yeah,
instantaneous. Some have cancer. Some have diagnoses like we have, and one of the things that rings in my head when I first was diagnosed is, a lot of people, I don't know if this was in your world, Steve, but a lot of my friends was like, man, that's so not fair.
yeah,
It's so not fair you have cancer. And I was like, fuck does that mean? Like, what do you mean it's not fair? It's not fair that anybody gets this stuff, but I'm a human like everybody else. So fair's not even a part of the equation, man. Like, it just
yeah,
happened. It's not
yeah,
fair that Steve, it's not fair that you got cancer. Well, no shit. But
yeah,
to be
yeah,
honest, it's look, man, it is what it is, and we're gonna make the best of it.
yeah. That's right. And this is your son right here too, right?
No, this is
No,
one of my
no,
best. That's my
that's your
best friend.
yeah. I
Yeah.
hit the wrong
So
button.
this is the celebration after the first round of chemo, IV chemo. I was done. So shortly after we met,
Yeah,
um, everything, all the scans and stuff, everything's moving in the right direction. And my strength was back. So one of my bucket list things, I love hunting and I love fishing, but I had never
yeah,
been ice fishing. So me and my buddy went up to the Lake of the Woods up in Minnesota on the
yeah.
Canadian border. And this is us literally on the Canadian border, 14 miles in on a huge lake, and there's
That's
nobody
so
around.
that's so awesome, man.
It was cool,
This
man.
yeah, this is what I meant to push up. That's you and your son
Yep,
and
that's my
daughter, right?
son and my daughter. So
Yeah.
my son does track. He played basketball.
Yeah, I've got
He's
that picture too. I don't know where it went.
Yeah, he's in cross country. So,
Yeah,
he's got both my kids are brilliant, man. Both my
right.
kids are amazing. Both my kids
Yeah.
are super organized, structured. They're really doing it big.
Yeah.
So
All right.
any moment that I can get, it help. It just
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing is like it like you said a while ago, it gives it a new perspective, where you look at things, way differently than you used to 100%. So anyway,
there's the give up, right? Like, we talked a little bit about how attitude and mental fortitude will get you a lot of places, and
yeah,
part of that is this community that you're creating is to help people's mental fortitude and attitude. Like, the unfortunate thing is not everybody was as positive as we were going into this thing, and it's really hard at that point for them to really change their mindset.
yeah,
And I hope that you and I on here joking. I mean, but we both have cancer, man. And we're sitting here joking and laughing and life goes on, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just going to keep moving, and whether we're here, whether we're not here, man. So make the best of what you got.
Yeah. 100%.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I always tell people, and I say this over and over again, and I'll continue to say it because I believe it's true, is that I'm thankful for who I was becoming before I was diagnosed. Because there was, yeah, we all know there's a path that we're on, of some type. We're all in some type of recovery, or, I always tell people there are no, there are no functional family. You know what I'm saying? There's families that are more functional than others, but we all have dysfunction. We all have issues. We all have struggles that we have to work through. And, I'm thankful. I'm sure, like you can say too, just thankful for my wife, being, who she has been in my life to push me, not to a point, where I realize, hey, I need to get some things together,
yep.
and
How
and
was
so I
it
think,
when, so, you ask a lot of the questions, and, how are you doing?
man, I'm good. We got to get to your diagnosis too. We ain't even got to that, but yeah, to answer your question,
Yeah.
so I am, so my insurance got jacked up, and so where I'm at is, so with multiple myeloma, they tell you it's not a matter of if it's coming back; it's a matter of when. And so, you know, um, man, I got a dog in here, and this dog just farted, and I swear to God,
Nice.
it is the most awful thing you've ever heard. Good God Almighty! Sorry, get
That's
out of
all
here.
good.
I want to open the door, but anyway, God, that is so bad.
Just sitting up under the chair.
Get out of here. Hey, that was awful. Sorry, y'all. If you're listening or watching, I apologize. Man, so anyway, so that's what they say with multiple myeloma. So basically, with the way it works is you go through the 15 weeks of treatment. The goal is, um, my plasma cells are cancerous, and
Yeah.
so they're producing this thing called monoclonal protein, and so the goal is to get that M protein number down to close to zero as possible, which is what they did. And then you have the stem cell transplant, and the stem cell transplant resets your whole system. They wipe out, they give you that high dose chemo, and the chemo wipes out your immune system, and then and they give you stem cell, which is the process is crazy. It's incredible. What one stem cell does is it's insane. And now, with stem cells, now you hear, like, it's funny because when I share this story with people, just in general, they're, unless they know, the first impulse is like, Rogan's talked about stem cells, and I think William Shatner got stem cells, and all these athletes that as
Oh
far as
yeah.
like from the umbilical cord or whatever.
Yep.
And so they're life giving. But in my case, obviously it was my stem cells, and one stem cell creates, red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and all this stuff comes out of one stem cell. And so anyway, long story short, I did that, and they graft back in, and mine is an auto, which means they take my stem cells and give them back to me. And then some people have to have an allo, which is where they get their stem cells from a match. And so
How hard
and
is
so
it to
that all
find a match for
happened.
that?
It's crazy because the people that I've heard, like, a lot of times siblings can be a really good match for people. But then they go on searches, and you hear the country of Germany a lot. Germany, um, you hear people getting stem cells from Germany a lot, or I have. And
Yeah.
so, but they really have taken that seriously. So however they do it, man, all this process they take it through, and they find a match, and then and give them. And so the allo stem cell transplant is a little more because you have to have rejection medications,
Yeah.
and the grafting is a little more difficult because will they take or will they
Sure.
not, which
Just
is
like
based
any kind
upon
of
it.
foreign body, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, to sum this up, I did all that, and then and so then what they want to do is you go back to the doctor. So that was I went back to the doctor I went every week for quite a while, and then went to 2 weeks. But then they do blood work, and that first blood work is crucial because where your M protein, that M protein number is the number. And mine was 0. And so then the next thing is they want to give you, get you back on the medication, on on the infusions and stuff like that, because the cocktail they give you is these medications. There's 4 drugs, and they have, the trials that they've done, they've proven that now they're seeing long-term results, with this certain deal. So I take 3 medications every month. I take a pill every day, and then the other medications. And so starting in June, I started back, and I did it. And every month from June on, I go in for blood work, medication. And so January, actually, the crazy thing was, and I think I told you this that day, January was the first time that my doctor actually used the word remission. He wouldn't use it. He would basically say that I was in, um, what do they call it? Complete stringent response. There's 6 levels with multiple myeloma,
Okay.
and so the second highest level is complete stringent response. The highest level is minimal residual disease, which is basically remission, which is where I was at in January. So now it's just a pill every day and treatment
Once a month you go in and get infusions?
Yeah, and once a month I
How
go in
long
and
are
get
your
infusions.
infusions? You were out of there way quicker than I was. Or at
So,
least
well, I
that.
got there earlier. So basically it depends on if I get the IVIG, which the IVIG is the antibodies, and that takes about 4 hours. So, because they have to give it to you, they have to titrate it, which is what I think they have to do. And anyway, you can tell me that in a minute, but so they have to start it at a certain level and then, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. And so I get 30 minutes to do my Zumeta, which is the Zumeta is to repair the bone damage because I had lesions on all my bones, well, all my ribs and my vertebrae and my sit bones. And then I get the Darzalex, which is the shot to the belly, which it's a real thick liquid they give me. And then obviously I start out with steroids and all that stuff, and then the IVIG takes 4 hours. So, but it's so that's kind of
That's
where
an
I'm
all
at,
day
man.
event.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's crazy because I mean July will, from July of 22 to July of 23, I was diagnosed with all that stuff. And then in February, they thought my wife had cancer, which I don't know if we talked about that, but
No, we
turned out she
didn't.
didn't. It was weird. She had this mass over her ovary that looked like it. And then in June, my dad died. So in a matter of 9 months, we had these things happen. And, and it's like you said, that there's the reality of it is that happens, right? It's
Yeah,
life. But it's a rhetorical thing, but it's true. I mean, it's like, it's not a matter of what happens to you. It's how you respond to what happens to you.
100%.
And having community like this, man, I mean, I feel like I've known you my whole freaking life. It's like,
I'm telling you,
because
we're very, very alike in a lot of ways. And like I said,
yeah,
and we differ is the interesting part of this relationship,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
agree with you on some things, and the things that you've been through life is different from what I've been through, man. And
yeah,
share in first of all, to share communication with any person, and you're really communicating, you're really listening to that person, you're really, you're not just waiting for your turn to speak, you're really
yeah,
internalizing what people are saying. I think I've always been very good at that in my life. I'm people interested, right? I'm interested in people's story in general all the time.
yeah, yeah,
I
me too.
can't go to the supermarket without 5 guys knowing who I am that work there. And my kids and my wife are like, you can't go anywhere without anybody knowing who you are. And it's like, well, I'm a human in this earth. This is my community that I'm in every day. I go to the same grocery store all the time. If I
Yeah,
see people, I'm like, how's your day today? And I genuinely give a shit what the answer is.
right. Yeah,
Care. Like it's not a rhetorical question for me like, oh, how you doing today? And then, oh, good, and then walk away. It's like, how you doing today? I want to take in what you're saying because
Yeah.
speak with their expressions and not their words.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
You know,
right.
and you can kind of tell when people are hurting. You know,
100%. 100%. It's like I've been Ubering, so I'm driving for Uber. It's a whole other
yep,
car. But I've on my phone, like when people get out, and I would never use their names, right? Because I'm
sure.
just not going to do that. But I am writing down like certain things, like this guy whose father passed away in Minnesota, and he went up there for the funeral, and they've got these stories. But it's the same thing with you. It's like everybody, and not everybody gets in the car and wants to talk, but most people do, and you can tell, like you said, you can tell who's hurting, you can tell who just needs to chat, and
Think of all the things
just
that had to go right for you and I to meet.
100%.
One, I had to wear the freak sweatshirt that day.
Yeah.
Two,
Well,
I had
one,
to
you had to be in
fill
my bay.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that structure was crazy enough, right? Then I had
Do
to be
you
wearing the
always
right
use
shirt.
Jason though? Is Jason your guy or no?
No,
The
dude,
nurse.
they shift me around where whoever's available. I don't think
Oh,
I've had the
really?
same person twice. Now I see the nurses all the time and they say hi to me and everybody's real friendly there, but I don't think I've
Yeah.
had the same person giving me my IV since I've been there. Man, do you go to the same bay every time?
No, but I try to get Jason every time, and I'll tell you why, because he can give me that shot in a minute and a half.
What?
I mean, because the other usually it takes like 3 to 4 minutes, and
First
he's
of
just a
all, that
beast.
guy is super cool, man.
Dude, I love Jason.
That dude is super cool, man.
I
Like
mean, that's
when you left, dude, he and I and my wife was there for a little bit. She came in a little later. Like, dude, he was a real cool dude.
I love him, and he's just great. And I think all the nurses are like that. It's like, um, but I mean,
What's
the nurses are crazy good.
what's your without saying any names and not saying any hospitals where we go and what we do. What's your craziest story of just madness in there? What like I've seen some things, man, in that
So
IV.
I would say the first week that I went, because um, I didn't one COVID was still impacting, so Donna couldn't come. My wife couldn't come upstairs with me. She was pissed,
Oh, I believe
and
it.
well, first of all, that's the whole. I mean, we could if we got to the whole COVID story. I mean, anyway, we won't get into that tonight, but so she was pissed anyway for a lot of reasons. I didn't have, I wasn't prepared because back when I first started, it was about a 7 hour day, because I had to get the Zumeda, and so that was 30 minutes, and then, well, first I had to take I had to do the oil and everything, but then the Darzalex, that was a 5 hour deal
Oh my
because they
goodness.
had to titrate it. But the thing about but I'll tell you why it was crazy is, um, is because I had a reaction. And I was sitting there on the phone with Donna, and while I'm having the reaction, the ambulance is coming into the bay across, and somebody's having a bad situation going on. They're putting that person on the gurney. They got all the stuff on him or
Yep.
her. It was him, and they're rolling him out. And I'm on the phone with my wife, and I'm like, dude, somebody's in a mess over there. And I said, I can't breathe. And
Yeah.
she's like,
By the
what?
way,
I said,
call one for
I
me
can't.
too.
I said, I can't. My chest feels really tight. She's like, you got to tell somebody. And I'm in there by myself, right? I mean,
Yeah.
um, I basically put my hand up, and that's when I met Molly, who was the nurse. I've attached myself to certain nurses, but
Sure.
Molly was there, and she came over and she gave me more steroids to help. So that day was nuts. So tell me about you, man. I mean, I hear that too for you. Like, tell me.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
So,
let everybody know like so tell me your diagnosis, and then we can get into. I want to hear your craziest days too, because what
so
you're only. I mean, what 6 months into this thing?
yeah, September to well, let's rewind the clock a little bit further pre-diagnosis, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
do I do jujitsu with my kids, and been doing jujitsu for a while, for almost 10 years. Um, and about December of 22, um, I was traveling back and forth from work. I do construction, so we were doing a job down in Round Rock. So I was traveling back and forth and training and going to kids events and doing all of those things, right? Just busy, busy, busy life.
Right.
And I started breaking out on my forehead, like these big, like they weren't zits, man. They were hard. They were like, I didn't know what was going on. And I felt, after they wouldn't go away for a few weeks, I was like, maybe it's my new hard hat. Maybe there's all kinds of stuff. Okay. Well, now I'm super sleepy all the time. I went to the doctor and they said, hey man, you have a staph infection. I said, okay, cool. I got a staph infection from the mats or whatever. And we went ahead and treated it. And it was 8 weeks of a major antibiotic. And, I eat really clean. I'm a pretty healthy guy. I'm a pretty fit dude. Back then I was doing about 9 hours of jiu-jitsu a week. And I would go in the mornings. I would go in the evenings. I would train on the weekends. I would go with my kids. Like we lived at the gym. We had a really good time. And it was starting to get to where I couldn't train because I was so sleepy and groggy. Well, after 6 weeks of the 8-week antibiotic, I was having trouble pooping. And I was like, man, I don't know what's going on. I think these antibiotics are jacking up my stomach. Like there's
Right.
just, like antibiotics do.
Right.
So I waited 2 or 3 weeks and the symptoms never got better. They actually increasingly started getting worse and worse. So now, if you could imagine trying to do jiu-jitsu with intestines full of feces, and when these guys jump on your, get knee on belly and do all these things, like it was painful. Like it was pain like I hadn't felt. It felt like someone was stabbing me in the belly because my intestines were so impacted. So I started I have a wellness doctor and all of this other stuff. I believe in chiropractic and acupuncture as kind of a first line of defense, right? I don't want to go to get medications and do all this other stuff. I just wanted to see what I could do. So I talked to my buddy. We do a bunch of blood work. The blood work comes back and he said, hey man, I think you need to go to get a colonoscopy. And I said, okay, man, I'll start scheduling that. So now we're in like June, July. Well, I don't have a primary care physician. I've got great insurance. I've just never gone to the doctor a lot, never had to. So I ended up finding a primary care physician. I go into there and he says, yeah, we're going to schedule you a colonoscopy. I'm telling him all my concerns. And he said, but hey, maybe it's just take some Metamucil and try to have a regular bowel movement or whatever. So that goes on for a couple of weeks. That's not helping, and I'm waiting for this colonoscopy to happen. He says they scheduled a colonoscopy. It was like 2.5 months out. That's how long it took to get in. And I wasn't having, it wasn't major at this point, but I was in pain and I wasn't sleeping for probably from June all the way till I had my first surgery. I was up every hour on the hour. So where the tumor is on me, so I was diagnosed with adenocarcinoma. And where the tumor is, you actually have the sphincter itself. Then up, there's a little valve. There's another valve about 8 inches up. And then about another several inches up from that, there's a third valve. And it's in right where the colon and the rectum meets is at that valve. So the colorectal cancer that I have is because it's literally at the junction of the colon and the rectum, right? So the tumor was growing and hitting that valve, that third valve. So normally a normal person, right, would when the poop goes down and hits that third valve, that triggers the brain event to say I've got to use the restroom. So get ready, it's coming. Now, unless you have diarrhea and it's flowing through, we all get to the bathroom on time. But that trigger event happens, whether you're asleep, whether you're not asleep. Like, you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, my stomach's upset. I think I got to go to the restroom. That's what was happening every hour on the hour. And I would sit in the shower and I would try to nothing was coming out. I'd sit on the toilet. I'd sit in the shower. I'd try to just do anything. And there was no poop coming out regularly.
That's miserable.
So, oh man, it was terrible, dude. So at this point, I'm completely not doing jiu-jitsu at all, which I hadn't not done jiu-jitsu in 10 years. Like I'm pretty consistent, right? So we get to about, it wasn't September, it was probably August. It was probably August when the colonoscopy was scheduled.
This is
And
2023, right?
2023.
Yeah.
I've asked around. I've never had a colonoscopy before, but I asked around and I've told everybody in my office. I was like, "Hey, we got this colonoscopy set up. When you had yours, what did they do?" And he's like, "Oh, you have to drink this stuff." I talked to my dad. "Oh, you got to drink this stuff." Everybody's like, "You got to drink this stuff to have your colonoscopy to clear everything out." Well, it's the day before my colonoscopy, and nobody's called me or given me any stuff. So I called the hospital and I was like, "Hey, I have a colonoscopy tomorrow, but I haven't gotten any of the stuff that I need." And they're like, "Let me look into it." Boom. "We don't have you scheduled for a colonoscopy. We have you scheduled to go see the endocrinologist." And I said, "For what? What? Like, I've been waiting for this colonoscopy forever. Like, I'm in pain. I'm in bits. Like, what's going on?" Well, the doctor scheduled an endocrinology, not a colonoscopy. I went to the endocrinologist because he wanted to get some whatever done. And I was like, "I still need to schedule this colonoscopy." So now September 18th was the day of my colonoscopy. I go, the colonoscopies are normally like, 35 to 45 minutes. Dude, within 15 minutes, they already went and got my wife and they pulled her out of there. They tried to put the camera in there and the tumor was so big at that time, they couldn't get the camera past it. They tried to use a smaller camera, still wouldn't go past it. So they wake me up, tell my wife, and they're like, "Look, we've seen this hundreds of times. This is cancer. We've got a biopsy of it, and this is your new reality, basically, right?"
Did they
And
give you the stuff to clean you out?
eventually on the colonoscopy, right? They gave me this
Did it
stuff to
work?
clean me up. No,
So you still didn't go.
dude, I went. So look, it comes out in small, like just enough to like relieve the pressure, right? And then I
Right.
would be instantly like, dude. So I wasn't eating. So normally I walk around at about 185 pounds. I'm pretty
Yeah.
lean. I'm an older guy, but for myself, it's a pretty good look. When I ended up getting the diagnosis, I had been limiting my calorie intake because I couldn't poop. So I was only eating like maybe 700-800 calories a day for months. And I was so tired and I couldn't figure out what was going on. As soon as they said, "Hey man, you have cancer," my wife went into tears and I
Yeah.
just said, "All right, man, what's the next step?
Yeah.
What room do I need to go into now? Because I'm ready. If I got cancer, let's go. I got a little bit of time and we can sort this out." And they said, "Whoa, man, it doesn't work like that." I said, "Slow it down a little bit. It's not a fast moving cancer of what you have, but the tumor's so big, you've had this for a minute." So I probably
Yeah.
had it for, they said, between a year and a half as the tumor was growing.
Yeah. Did they stage you?
Yeah, so they did a few different stages. So as far as, so they stage the tumor and then they stage the spread, right?
Okay.
So they call it a T3, which was, the tumor was a stage 3, and then when it moves, that's when they like, oh, stage 4. It's, um,
Right.
they
Where it
they
goes somewhere
staged it
else.
like a, yeah, they staged it like a 3.5, almost stage 4, because some of the lymph nodes near where the was affected, right? So the tumor had gotten so big, they called it circumferential. So circumferential is, if you imagine a tube, right?
Yeah.
It spiral grows through the tube, right?
Oh,
It's
wow.
not just a tumor here. It actually goes around and down like a stripe on a barber pole, right?
Yeah.
So their first thought was, we need to immediately start you on a chemo regimen. We need to get you all the MRIs and do a whole bunch of imaging. And they first said we were going to do oral chemo and radiation in the beginning. And This is probably, it probably took almost 7 weeks for them to get me into treatment and get me all of the things and all of the imaging and all of those appointments that you have to make to like finally get your treatment going.
Yeah.
In the meantime, it was homecoming for my kids. My daughter is she's a freshman. My son is a junior. So my son had never been interested to go to homecoming before in my daughter's first year. So she was just like, look, I want to go. My son has a girlfriend now, so he wanted to go. And they were going to have the getting ready party at my house. So this was like Friday night. So Thursday night, I'm so doubled over in cramps. I didn't get out of bed. I told my wife I can't go. I can't go to work. I can't go. Like something's wrong. I don't, So I sat for another 24 hours until Friday. All the kids and everybody was enjoying everything downstairs. I can hear them laughing and whatever. I'm in pain up in the bedroom because I didn't want to worry my kids. I don't want to ruin their homecoming night. So as soon as as soon as my son drove my daughter and they left for the evening, I told my wife, I said, hey, you need to take me to the emergency room right now.
Now,
So
was this after you were diagnosed or before?
this is after the diagnosis. So now I'm
Right. So,
100% blocked up.
wow. Oh, I lost you. Hold on, we'll get him back. All right, so I lost Ryan for a minute, but he'll be back on here in just 1 second. It's crazy, right? So, like, this whole process of just how connecting with people, and I think that it's such a powerful thing. I mean, honestly, the conversation I'm having with him and how we've connected and him getting to share this story. And of course, if you remember a few weeks ago, I had Sydney, Sydney Shelton, and she has colorectal cancer too. So anyway, let me get him back. So we can get him back here. But I think that's one of the things that is so powerful is that all of us have the opportunity to, be able to, engage with other people, and we all have a story. I'm telling my kids, like, look, you have a story, and that's one thing I was supposed to tell Ryan was that, because whenever you get this diagnosis, had somebody tell me, and I may have said this a couple weeks ago, but it's like you're not just the, you're not just the one that's diagnosed. Your whole family's diagnosed, and so anyway, I think I got him back. Hang on, here we go. All right, I got you back. Dude, what the heck? I lost you, man.
Dude, I was trying to text you. I had my phone in airplane mode, so that wasn't sending out. My computer just went. So I got you plugged in now. My apologies.
No, you're good. Go ahead. So you're 100% blocked. You went to the ER, and I was just supposed to tell you too. It's funny because like you're diagnosed, and you're trying to keep some semblance of normalcy, right? Like my kids were all out, but yet I was just telling everybody, you're not just the only one diagnosed. Your whole family's diagnosed, right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
at this juncture of the process, you're still, what the hell's going on? I mean, where are we at in this process?
Yeah,
kind
like
of thing?
at this point, you've got a cancer diagnosis. You don't know any of the treatments that are supposed to be happening. You just don't have that. You hear people have cancer all the time. Probably had some members in your family that have time, but unless you were there at all the treatments, you don't really know what that means or what's coming
Right.
next. So I'd say that was probably the worst 7 weeks of my life.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know what to expect. I don't know what the treatment's going to be. They haven't solved any of the poop issues that's going on. They just went, "Hey, you got cancer." Okay. How do I feel better? That's what I was like, "All right, I've been dealing with this for so many months. What's the next step? We've identified the problem now, thankfully, and how do we move forward?" So, I go to the emergency room. They they give me some painkillers that instantly made me feel warm and fuzzy all over, and I ended up falling asleep, and I hadn't slept for days. I've been in pain for
Yeah.
days. And my wife was like, when you went out, dude, you were snoring like you were out. They put me to a CT scan. The CT scan set something up. I had to go in for this ostomy. I got an emergency ostomy. Well, it wasn't an emergency. They scheduled it for the
You
next
sent me a
day.
picture of that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I did.
You want me to
That
show it or
was
not?
sure. Yeah, go for it, man. Hey, it's part of
Okay.
it, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So this picture is so my new ostomy bag.
That's
So
that's a selfie. You took a
yeah,
selfie.
I was like, this is ridiculous. So whenever I told people, I was like, hey man, I'm on chemo and I get two drugs actually at the facility. So the whole the cocktail, they called it full fox fury, is like three
Yeah.
different chemo meds mashed together into one word. So this last bit, this little black fanny pack that you see on my waist, that's
Yeah.
actually chemo that I have to take home that drips into me for another 2 days.
That's right. I forgot about that. You told me that.
Dude, it's horrible, man. So by Wednesday, so I get it on Monday, and I don't get stopped. The infusion doesn't stop until Wednesday. It's 24 hours a
Yeah.
day on. You can't get it off. And I was having trouble trying to explain to my friends how they would put it on you and whatever. So I was like, you know what? Here it is. Boom. This is what it looks like.
Yeah.
This is
So
it.
you sent it to him. So is that so you got the emergency ostomy that when you went in that weekend or that for the ER?
Yeah. So I got down. So remember, I was telling you I weighed 185 pounds,
Yeah.
and by the time I got this ostomy, and this is actually so this is in during treatment. So this is a little post the ostomy. I got down to
Yeah.
169 pounds.
Wow.
I was super, super skinny. And
Yeah.
I think there's a picture I might have sent you with me and my son, a track picture, and you'll
Yeah,
see
I'm
the
gonna pull
difference.
that. Let me grab that. Let me grab that. Go ahead and I'll pull it up here in a second.
So losing all that weight, man, as soon as they put that ostomy in me and I
Yeah.
was able to like be regular again, the weight started coming on. It was like 2 or 3 pounds a week in the beginning. You know, it was like a pound here, 2 pounds here. Like things started like gradually increasing. So whether or not I liked having the ostomy, which it's part of my life now. It's just how I
Yeah.
survive.
I was
But
I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's
it's
something you're gonna have for
for a while. Yeah, I think
yeah.
so. All going well. We'll get to that point in a second.
Yeah,
But
go ahead. Yeah.
the ostomy, when they talk about it in the beginning, you're like, oh man, I don't know if I want that. I don't know. I'm going to try to avoid that. Who wants to poop in a bag and all of this stuff. And there's a whole bunch of like social thing. I run meetings. I run a business. Now I've got this thing stuck to my belly. All of this stuff, and it's concerns that you have that most people don't care.
Yeah,
No one cares. I cared because I didn't want to offend people, or I didn't want, this thing makes some weird noise, I mean, I have to, all of my bodily functions, farts, poops, all that stuff comes through this bag,
Yeah.
so there's no clinching to hold a fart in a meeting, right? You're in this, and you have this plastic bag, so it's like farting in a plastic bag, and there's no hiding it. You just go, sorry, man, and they're just like, it's cool, don't worry about it. I said the only
Yeah.
benefit of it is you won't smell it because it's in a plastic bag. So, but you can't control it. You can't see. So it was a lot of, it was being humble. It humbled me a lot,
Yeah.
being the fit guy, being a jujitsu guy, I've been an athlete my whole life. Now you've got this ostomy thing on your on your body, and when it becomes life and death, it becomes not that big of a deal.
Exactly. It's like okay, this is what we
Like,
have to do. So,
yeah,
I mean,
cool.
that's what you have to do. And
Dealing with all of that pain for days, you know what I mean? And then they're like, hey, we
I
can
can't
solve this
imagine the
problem. We
relief.
can do this awesome. I was like, fine, let's go. I'm
But
good.
the relief had to be just incredible.
Yeah, it was. So the rough part of the surgery was the hospital trying to learn how to change your bag. Like now you got to do, like now every time you're pooping in this bag. It's a different process, right? Your whole life you've been sitting on a toilet, wiping your butt, flushing it, and doing all. Now there's this whole other thing. What do I
Yeah.
do with this bag of poop? What do I do with
Yeah.
that? Like so I'll be honest, and it's funny at this point. It's one of the things that we did here at the house, and I'm not going to do it everywhere I go, but we got a diaper genie, and I
Yeah.
just put that stuff in the diaper genie, and you got to contain it somehow.
Yeah.
And I remember in the beginning of just telling my wife, I was like, man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that this is happening. And she's like, what are you sorry for? And it's like, just as you said, because we all have this diagnosis now. It's not just me.
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm putting you through that.
Yeah.
That's
I,
tough.
I,
But
I don't think that, and I think that for me, Ryan, is like, I think I was, we kind of go into, well, I mean, honestly, it took, I mean, I did go into like, you just kind of, you have a new normal, right? Like the ostomy's a new normal, or, then not when I was diagnosed, I knew, okay, here's where I'm, 15 weeks of this, 3 weeks of this, a month of this. That's what I've got. So you just start moving forward, and you don't think anything about it. It's just what you got to do.
so I
But
have a buddy.
but I don't think I did a very good job. What I was gonna say was, I don't think I did a very good job of recognizing that, it was all of us. We were all in this, and my kids were great, just like your kids. You know what I'm saying, and
Yep.
just everything. But it was all, we were in that together, and and like you said earlier, the support and just that kind of thing matters. Anyway, you're gonna
The
say,
perspective, your perspective matters, right?
yeah,
Your
agreed.
your mindset matters. And what gained a huge amount of perspective for me was having to go to the infusion center, having to go do the blood work on floor 4, then going to 3 to infusion, then seeing all of my, I have got a radiation on oncologist now that I have to go see every day for the next, well, it's 28 days of treatment, 5 days a week. I got to go every morning. That's my new normal now. My normal before 3 months ago was every other week I'm going to be laid out sleeping because I'm super sick. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
So you got radiation every day now?
yeah. So one of the 3 drugs that I was on with the IV is one of the oral drugs that I'm on now. It's the same thing but oral, and obviously a lot less dose.
Yeah.
Apparently, they say that it works really well with it's not meant for it to work like the chemo worked to send out the nuclear blast to like kill all cancer cells, right? it's
Mm-hmm.
it's meant to enhance the radiation, and but
Yeah.
still makes me nauseous, but not as nauseous. So
Yeah.
when they went in to do so I told you they were going to do the oral chemo first and the radiation, then they were going to do the IV chemo, then surgery, and then probably some follow-up IV chemo just to kind of knock everything, make sure they got everything right.
Right.
When they did the emergency ostomy, or the planned very quickly tomorrow ostomy, it wasn't like they rushed me. They got me in the emergency room, they sent me home, and they're like, "Yep, we got to put this thing in you, and this is where it's going to happen." So we get all of that stuff worked out, and when I come out of surgery and I'm just in the recovery room, right? And I'm going to be there for a couple days because I got to learn all this new ostomy stuff. So they go in to do this biopsy, the second biopsy, because they wanted to grab more tissue, right? In the beginning of it. They wake me up. Now we got to do the ostomy. So 4 hours later, I'm back under doing surgery. They do the ostomy. I come out of the surgery and the surgeon's there and he goes, "Hey, we've noticed going through the surgery with the robot, it's a robotic surgery, that you had some free floating cancer cells that have not attached themselves to anything yet, but it had grown through the wall of your colon, and now it's kind of in between that viscous layer between your organs and your fat tissue, right? And it's kind of floating in here. So we don't like what that looks like. We've seen a couple spots. So we want to do the IV chemo first. And I think that's when they changed the dosages, and man, they mega blasted everything.
Yeah.
So that was a shocker, right? So now instead of the kind of the stage 3.5, now they're like it's probably closer to a stage 4, but don't worry about the stages because a lot of people beat stage 4 cancer. So
Yeah.
I never thought about that's my death sentence right there was the stage 4. I didn't never really care about the numbers.
Yeah.
It sucks to hear. It sucks to hear the stage, but like I said, man, you have to take how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a
One bite
time.
at a time. And
And
I think too, like that from my doctor, he was like, he didn't stage it. He was like, and multiple myeloma was obviously different, but it's
sure.
so weird how you talk, and I'm sure you've seen this too. You talk to so many different people, and they go maybe to a different hospital, a different mentality, a different approach, and everybody's approach is different, right? I don't
Yeah.
criticize,
How could you?
unless they, yeah, I mean, what right do we have, right? You don't do that. I
Yeah.
mean, we're all battling the same thing. It's just that we're coming at it from different angles, and so, but I will say that it's, um, we, I don't know, it's just the treatments and everything, and but the one thing that is important is that what you just said. It's like okay, all right, so what? It's like so I have to take a pill every day. Okay, so what?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I got to go to treatment once a month. Okay, so what? That's what I mean. That's and and I think too, it's like you eat healthy, and I'm I do eat healthy overall. I mean, I have my moments, um,
Man,
but
let me tell you,
we try to keep gluten out. I try to keep gluten out, and I try to eat as little sugar as possible. And that and eat that kind of thing. But what were
yeah,
you gonna say?
I think, for us, it was, the whole healthy eating thing wasn't, I would say it wasn't necessarily by choice. So when my son was born, he had a soy and gluten allergy, like severe. And
Ah,
he had like his adenoids taken out. He's had multiple ear tubes because he kept getting these infections, like these upper respiratory infections, and the
yeah,
doctors couldn't figure it out. They had him on all this medicine. He was doing nebulizers. He was doing all this shit. And my wife was doing some research on the internet and basically said, he could have food allergy. Like this is probably why it's happening. So we took him to the food allergist, and it turned out he had a severely high gluten sensitivity, and same with soy. And
mm-hmm,
at that time we were eating tortillas and all kinds, like we were just gluten crazy, right? So
yeah, yeah,
my daughter by proxy was now eating healthy with us. She had no choice. So
yeah,
but now they've grown out of that. They can eat whatever they want now, but
yeah.
we kind of adopted that lifestyle of, man, it made me feel good. It made me, which made me want to
It
be
just
healthier and fit and all of that stuff.
when I think you feel like hey, I'm doing something. You know I do. Even as we're talking about it, I'm like, all right, Steven, get it together. So,
Yeah,
how old are
but that's
you?
okay. So
Hey, how old are you, Ryan?
48.
I, fr-
I'll be
you're
49 in
48.
April. Yeah, I'll be
Okay, 49.
49 in a
Okay.
couple months. Yeah.
Somebody in the chat had asked how old you are.
Oh, right on. Yeah, 49. So there's something interesting about clean eating that I think
Oh my
when
God.
it's like everything in life, right? It's like you have
Yeah.
these extremists and they're like, I'm gonna do this, and it's usually around January, the first of the year. Everybody's got these new things they're gonna try out, and these New Year's resolutions that are gonna this is the year. And what people don't realize is you can't live your life in absolutes. You can't say I'm going to eat clean now from now on. You're just setting yourself up for being let down. There's no way.
Exactly.
It's not possible, man. You're telling me
Yeah.
you're not going to enjoy ice cream. You're telling me you're not going to enjoy cheese. You're telling, like,
Yeah.
man, I've got my vices, like, dude, I love ice cream. That's my jam. Like
If you're gonna get a blizzard, I mean, you can get a blizzard, get a mini.
yeah, dude, like so I've always tried to, as far as the healthy eating is, 80% of the time, I'm on task. I'm on
Yeah.
diet. 20% of the time, I eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
80% of the time, I'm gonna make the right choices. 20% of the time, it's normally like 7 days a week. You got one day you can eat whatever you want. You can have your ice cream, you can have your whatevers, and it doesn't matter. 3,000, 4,000 calories on one day. It's not gonna kill you.
Yeah.
But ice cream every day
Yeah. It's
and
bad.
all of that stuff it's bad.
Yeah.
Moderation.
Did you notice, and I won't get back to your story too, but did you notice like in the infusion room what they like the Food Network was on the TV all the time?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's ridiculous. I'm so
I
sick. I'm so
know.
nauseous. I'm like, look,
Yeah.
my first infusion was terrible.
Was it
It
really?
went,
So
oh
when
man.
did you like cuz like for me, I mean, I was uh fortunate, to some degree. I think I told you how I got my appointment. We can talk about that later, but so you had 7 weeks, and so was your first treatment was so you got diagnosed in September. Was it
Yeah,
like
my
end of
first. So I had September diagnosis, October, like 3 weeks later, surgery.
uh-huh.
Um, and then
Did they take they did what about they can't cut that. They don't cut that out, do they?
no, so it's funny. So we have friends of ours that his wife had the same colorectal cancer, and she passed away. She I think it was like maybe a year and a half, 2 years into the fight, and she passed away. And they did the surgery first, and they did what they did, but they just kind of reversed the order.
Right.
And when they were talking about kind of how the treatment was going to go down, I had that as a reference. It's the only person that I know that had colorectal cancer, and I kind of know through my wife, kind of the procedure that they did. Not everything very detailed. Just know that they did surgery first. And
Yeah.
I asked the doctor about that, and this was it's almost 4 years ago now. And I asked the doctor about that, and he said, "Look, over the last few years, we've noticed that when we treat with chemo and radiation first and try to shrink the tumor, then that's less evasive as a surgery, right? We're not trying to take up so much. You only have so much colon, you
Yeah.
only have so they're trying to make it as small as possible so when they do the reconnect, they have enough colon to reconnect." So
Yeah.
it made a lot of sense to me. And they said, and overall, people are more responsive. They
Yeah.
do a lot better in this scenario. So I trusted their decision, and that's the way I have some friends that hooked me up with some people at MD Anderson down in Houston, and I just felt that where I am at the system that I'm in is the right one for me. Like it would
I felt
just
the same way.
it's just really cool
Te-
there.
I do too. Texas oncology, I think, is amazing. And
Yeah.
but MD Anderson, for me, they were like, okay, you got to pay us $28,000 just to come in the door.
Whoa.
I'm serious. I swear to God. And I was
Yeah, I
like,
never got that far. I had a
no, I
couple.
got. So I was because I mean, and that was the thing I appreciated about my doctor, Dr. Mazel. That he's going to be on my podcast, by the way. That's going to be
That's
great.
cool.
But he told me he told my wife and I because my wife, man, she was like rapid fire. She had, she's a researcher
Oh yeah.
and so I mean, like, probably like y'all's conversation. What's the prognosis? Where are we going? What's going on? What is this all about? Blah blah blah. And my sister is in Arkansas, and so there's UAMS up there, and they claim to they have a lot of multiple myeloma stuff up there, and so, and you know how it is. When you get diagnosed, you're just shocked, and you want to be in the right thing, and you're getting people saying, "Hey, try this seed oil and eat this and take
Oh
this and do
man.
this," and not only that, but you got the hospitals, and so yeah, I called down. I filled out all the paper, all the stuff online. They called me, and they were like, "Okay, well, they didn't take my insurance," and
Oh
so they
no.
were like, "Well, yeah, so it would be $28,000 to go in the door," and I'm like, I think I'm good at Texas oncology. And
Yeah,
so,
I mean, look, my
but I mean,
decision was
honestly, though, I felt that way. I would have felt that way even if they did take my insurance down there. I didn't want to go down there. I
I
felt
didn't
like
want
I
to
was
do
in the
that
right
either.
spot. Yeah, I felt like I was in the right spot.
The staff that they have there, everything, from the jump. So we went down. I got the colonoscopy, and when they were telling me that, I kept asking the nurse, when they woke me up, I said, "How'd it go?" And she was like, "The doctor will see you in a minute," and kind of just turned tail and run, And I was like, "Okay." I looked at my wife. I said, "That's not good." And she goes, "Yeah, I know. She goes, it should have been 45 minutes. It was 15 minutes. And now she won't tell you how it went. The doctor will see you in a minute." I
Yeah,
already knew. I already knew.
yeah,
There's no way that I'd been going through all this stuff for the last 6.5 months that it was going to be a good outcome. I was like, there's some information. So we went to the waiting room. I said the doctor will come see you. The doctor basically shows me the images on the paper and says, "We know what this is. We're just sending it off for testing for confirmation, but
yeah,
this is what you have." From that day, I said, "What's the next step?" He said, "Fortunately, the guy that will be end up doing your surgery is Dr. Rodriguez. He's here today." I was like, "Great, can I see him?" He came right in. Dr. Rodriguez calmed my wife down, which I thought was amazing.
yeah,
And he said, "Look, we're going to go do some other stuff. And we're going to, we need to go do what's called a flex sig in my office. And we're going to measure some stuff and we're going to do some things." And, it was very positive, right? And he said, "Look, we don't know what's going on yet, but we're going to figure this out and we're going to get through it. And here's the next steps." And he said, "You need to come to my office. We need to do a flex sig." They went and did the flex sig. They still couldn't get any measurements because the tumor wouldn't allow it to go past the colon.
yeah.
They, there was just things that went really,
Smooth,
um, yeah, and just felt right. Like what he
right?
was saying, and look, I'm a faithful guy. I'm a religious guy. I'm Catholic. There's no shame in my faith, and
Right.
to have a doctor who's typically not that faith based come and put his hand on my wife's knee and put his hand on my knee, and he goes, "God has a plan for you, and we're gonna help, get you through this and get you, and just there was just something I looked at my wife, she looked at me, we walked out to the car, and I said, I think this is where I need to be."
Yeah, we
And
felt
the
the same
seven
way.
weeks before that, it was chaos. You know what I mean? Do I need to be here? I need to check these guys over at MD Anderson. Like you said, you got like 15 friends that are giving you 15 different advice. Oh, just go vegan and do this. And there's a 1 minute cure that you drink fucking peroxide. And it was just like, bro, it was too much. It was too much. I was like, what? Like, I can't even describe how like fragmented my brain was. And this
Yeah,
place put all that stuff at you. Hey, man, we got you. We're gonna do
yeah,
this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. And then when this is done, we're gonna take some images and some scans, and we're gonna do this, this, and this. So far, we haven't had any setbacks. So,
right.
I always tell my wife, I was like, "Look, I'm hopeful and I'm faithful and I'm grateful."
Yeah,
But I always, in the back of my mind, just like you do, I know it. I know it because everybody with cancer has the same, like, I don't want to get too happy because I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
yeah.
And
I've
that
and I
sucks.
agree with you. Yeah, I think like I have those same thoughts. Where like I'll have a pain, like my knees or this or that, and that's part of my symptoms were the pain in the bones and everything. And then you think, oh well, I don't want to. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like you. I don't know how to get. I don't think I get past that. I don't. I think you. And when I say past that, like every month I get blood work, and every month I get a result,
Yep.
and and I think there's always that twinge in the back of your head, even though I think you're like you. I'm believing with you. Like, and there's some people in the comments around. Like, there's a lady named Christy and her husband. They beat it. Um, and then another lady named Leah. They were asking too. Leah, a friend of mine from we went to high school together.
Uh,
And her husband, he had surgery first, then chemo. She was saying, and I haven't. Um, anyway, so
yeah, how long ago? Did she say how long
I
ago
don't
it
know.
was?
She hadn't said yet, so I'll ask her. I don't know how long ago it was. So Leah, if you don't mind
Yeah, hey, Leah,
posting
just a
on there.
disclaimer. I only know what they have told me from the doctor's office, and I don't know
Yeah,
if it's true or false. I haven't done any of my own research, but they just said, um, these days they try to shrink that tumor before they do the surgery, and it made common sense to me. So I was like,
yeah,
okay. What do
yeah.
you tell? Has the doctor ever told you anything, Steve? And you were like, that just sounds like bullshit. I'm not doing that. No, no, you're
No,
like, okay,
no, because
man, you're the
it's very precise and it's very intentional.
yep,
And what I love about Texas oncology, it's very progressive. I think they want to be, and like I said, everybody, you don't knock, like you said earlier, we don't knock. Everybody has their own path that they take,
yeah.
and so it is what it is. The ultimate goal is to, to beat it, to get past it. So she said, so, but he's doing good, still taking chemo every 2 weeks. He was diagnosed December of 22 and started taking chemo April of 23. So,
Well, it took a couple months for them to get him on the
yeah,
chemo. Yeah.
yeah,
So when they did my ostomy surgery, that's what kind of excuse the hiccups, man. It's the chemo meds that gets me
yeah.
nauseous, man. But the and that's the other chemo brain. What were we just talking about?
Dude, I do that all the time.
It's
We
so
were talking
weird,
about
man.
you said the ostomy. You went and got the ostomy, and we were talking about um just protocol moving
Oh,
forward.
that's right. That's right. That's right. So I got the ostomy surgery, and you know me, I'm a gamer, man. Let's start the chemo now. And they're like,
Right.
dude, we got to make sure that you're healed up and that you're not fighting infection and doing all that. And I didn't really know how chemo worked until they explained it
Right.
to me, and I was like, oh, it's killing all my good cells and my bad cells. So I
I
get
was
it
going to
now.
ask you about that. Did you lose your hair? I know.
Still
So
pretty
like
good, man.
I know, like you're in the middle of it, right? So you've had.
Yeah, so I'm smack dab, and what I really thought was so it's fallen out like crazy, man. My hair is usually
Is it
really
really?
really thick, and
Yeah.
now it's thinning, and you
Yeah.
know I was trying to grow it out for locks for life, and man, it was just falling out in clumps, dude. So instead of not having to deal with the really long hairs in my, because it got down to here,
Yeah.
and I was, and every morning I would do this, and it was like the like an old brush in my hands. It was just full of like hair. Washing it, doing whatever, man. There's clumps of hair in the drain, and there's all this stuff, and everybody I tell this to, they're like, "Dude, it looks like you have a full head of hair," and I was like, "Yeah, but it's thin. It's really thin." So
Yeah.
did have hair loss, and it's still happening today. I could probably, yep. So it's still coming out. It's coming out less than when I was on the IV chemos. I thought it might get
Yeah.
worse because of
The
the
pill
radiation.
chemo doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. The pill chemo doesn't
Yeah.
ever.
So when they were talking about how chemo actually works, and I'm kind of a technical nerd. I like to know how things work sometimes, but it just was never on my radar because I didn't have cancer before. So now I'm super interested. It's like, how does chemo
Yeah.
work? And it kills the regenerative cells, and that's why you have hair loss, is because the follicles cannot reproduce in
Ah.
time. So it's killing those cells that are fast reproducers. And I was
Yeah.
like, ah, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
They just can't reproduce fast enough, and that's why typically it will come back, And then
Right.
they talked about the. Have you heard about the chemo curl?
Yeah. Well, so my hair was already curly, so I already had curly hair, and then and see the immunotherapy doesn't cause the hair loss because the immunotherapy goes after the bad cells, and it doesn't attack the good cells. So
Hmm.
immunotherapy is that's the regimen that I was on, which was the 4 drug regimen. So Revlimid, Darzalex, Velcade, and then the steroid. Well, that's the four things. that I took for 15 weeks, and now I take the Darzalex, uh, dexamethasone, and I take the Revlimid every day. But when I had the the high dose chemotherapy that I had in the hospital, I had that done on a Tuesday. Um, Tuesday, December 27th, had my stem cell December 29th. And I can't remember how many weeks it was because I was in the hospital for 16 days.
Oof.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, honestly, I mean, that was good.
For you to be there and be treated and be cared
Well,
after.
you
And
have to because you have to be in that environment because your white blood cells, my white blood cells went to zero.
holy
Everything went,
shit.
yeah. Yeah, your white blood cells go to zero. My platelets went down to 14,000. They're supposed to be at 144,000. So you don't have any defense. So you can't, sickness is, they've got to keep you there. If you do get something, that way they can give you antibiotics and, um, and all that stuff.
Right.
But, anyway, I digress. But that was where I was in there, and my nurse Curtis, I had Curtis as my nurse for 9 days out of 60. I love that dude. But he was like, dude, it's coming out. You might as well shave it. I mean, my hair was coming out by bunches, but it only took that stuff. That chemo
Some stuff right
was
there.
yeah, it was brutal. That's the one that they put these hazmat suits on before they give this crap to you.
So
And the
going
pill
back
that
to
I
the
take.
crazy, the which
Go
one?
ahead. The
No, go
pill
ahead.
that I take, the Revlimid pill that I take, if you crack that pill open, and you get the powder on your skin, you have to treat it as a burn hazard. So it's because they have to package it that way to get it through your digestive tract to get the medicine to deliver it to
So
where it needs to go.
my funniest
Yeah.
IV, it's not funny story, but it's my infusion story. You told me yours, right? So
Yeah.
this is like number two infusion. And I go in and it's just like every other day, and they come in and they give me, they give me the steroids, they give me the medicine that keeps you from being nauseous, and they do all that, right? And they're pumping you up, and you're feeling pretty good because you're full of steroids and some anti-nausea stuff, and then they're going to hit you over the head with this, the chemo med, right?
Right.
And the chemo med starts going, and the first bag takes about an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, and it's dripping and whatever. Second bag, and after the first bag, you feel like shit. Like you decrease. When you're sitting there, when me and you were talking, and they were giving me the steroid bag, I was like, oh, chatterbox, blah 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 blah. And then when they
Right.
start putting that second one in you, you're just like, you start to get real sleepy, real groggy, real nauseous. But I was distracted by our conversation, right? So there's like a really good thing that's happening. I'm having a good time. Like you kind of like you forget that where you are for a minute.
Right.
So they were putting the second bag of chemo meds in, and I'm watching her hook up, and she's doing all the stuff, and she's putting it through the pumps. And the second chemo med actually has to have a vitamin mixed with the chemo. Like you have to get them both at the same time. So now I'm getting two things dripped at the same time because that's how it's most effective. Great.
Yeah.
She hooks it all up. She hits go, and the thing is right here. The post where they have all that stuff hanging from you is right here, and she's looking at it faced on this way, and I'm watching chemo meds spurting all over the floor. Just like,
Really?
dude, it's like if I took a water bottle and went squirt, 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 like it is just pumping out of this pump, dude. And I said, excuse me, there's and she goes, yeah, what's going on? And I was like, and she kind of looks down because she can hear it because it's water, it's chemical on the floor now. It didn't
Yeah.
make a noise in the beginning, but now it's like a puddle sound.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my goodness, dude. They come in those half hazmat suit.
Yeah.
And they usually just put the top on, right?
Yeah.
There's very few times where they do the full mask and they're all masked up, dude. She ran out of there, came back, full hazmat suited out, was telling me, he's like, sir, you're going to have to move to the side. I was like, I would agree that my wife has to move to the side, but you're putting this into my body. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm not sure what, if it's going to get on my shoe, it's going to matter, you know? Like, I'm not sure why I have to move because you're literally putting this through my veins, man. Like, I don't get it. So, but it's funny. You can take that pill of yours, but it can chemically burn your skin.
Right, exactly.
Why doesn't it burn the inside?
Well, that was my big question. Well, I mean, I literally the first month that I took it in that August, you get it through a central pharmacy, and they mail it to you. And what's crazy, it's crazy is I can
They're putting
call
it through
them
the mail.
yeah, but I can call. Yeah, it's going through the mail, but I can call them tomorrow. Let's say let's say I have 2 pills left, and as long as I have the prescription, dude, that stuff would be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. That's how fast they get that crap to you.
They don't want you to.
And like,
They don't need you to skip, man. It's important.
well, yeah, okay, it is important, yeah, but there's also another side of that thing too. So you
Yeah.
know, the whole money side of this thing too. That's a whole nother topic. I mean,
Look, you're
there's a
preaching to the
great
choir on
video.
that.
I'm gonna send you this video. There's a great video that this girl put up on Instagram. It talks about Rockefeller, and we hang. I mean, this is not what this podcast is about. We need to have another one. We can do that, but anyway. But it just talks about how the oil industry, and then they realized that the pharmaceuticals came out of this whole discovery. And until that point, holistic doctors and medical doctors worked arm in arm.
Yes.
But then
It was a management team, right?
it was
They're
a
managing.
team.
It was a team.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're
Now it's so
managing things
segmented.
together. Yeah, it's like and the holistic sector's been pushed down, and then your healthy foods, you're priced, you're already dealing with inflation or whatever it is, and then but if you buy organic carrots, although organic carrots are not that bad to be honest with you, but other stuff, it's more expensive because the juice formula, I can get the carrots, beets, and celery for like $12.
Yeah.
Everything I need to make the juice that I do.
How much juice for $12?
Hey, did I tell you about that juice?
No.
I cannot believe I didn't. Well, we haven't.
And I've got a
Yeah,
juicer, so look, let me
dude.
know.
Okay, so I'm gonna send you that. I got a video. I'll send you too. It's
First of all,
but
is
like
it gross?
no, it's earthy. I mean, you do this stuff. You do
Well,
that stuff
come on,
anyway.
man.
It's gonna taste fine to you.
Said earthy. That's cognito for gross.
So no, it's not. I like
Is
it.
it
I mean,
gross? It's earthy. That's not an answer, man.
okay, it's carrot. It's so you take 12 pounds of carrots, 3 baseball-sized beets, and a stalk of celery, or a
Okay.
bunch of celery, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And you juice all that, and you juice it into a big bowl, and you mix it together, and you pour it off in. I do 16-ounce mason jars or
So
16-ounce
it
jars.
yields more than 16 ounces?
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
I
okay.
do. Yeah, I have a friend of mine out of
Is it
California.
the beet? Is it the beet that creates most of the juice?
No, it's the carrots. You have 12 pounds of carrots.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I got this from Chris. Okay, so I got it from Albert, my buddy Albert, who has he has a rare form of brain tumor,
Uh-huh.
and they told him he had five that he would be 5 years, and so he was like, so I have 5 years with the chemo or 5 years without the chemo, and I said, yeah. He said, well, I just won't do the chemo, and so then he is doing this juice. He did the juice and changed his diet, and he's going to a holistic doctor, but he's really kind of coming at it from that perspective, and he's doing great. But
Yeah.
the juice, he got the juice from a guy named Chris Wark. Chris Beats Cancer, who's got I think you would really like him. And but he's called a cancer fighting juice. And so I'll send you the recipe. And like I said, I made a video of me making the juice.
No shit. Yeah.
I did.
I've drank crazier things. So yeah, I'm
I
good.
think you'll like it. It's not that bad. So,
Yeah, I was just kidding. As if it's gross, man. Like I said,
yeah.
I've stomached a lot worse things. I will tell you, it's kind of a mind. It messes with your mind. So, IV chemo, you got to go to the place. It's this whole like ritual, right? You got to go get your blood work done. You got to do this. We've talked about it many times already,
Yeah.
and When you switch to the oral chemo, that still makes you nauseous, still makes you kind of sick, and you have the radiation regimen, well, you have to take those pills at home. And there's a residual effect, right? So you never go down to baseline zero again. It's like you always have like some percentage
The shelf
residual.
life. Yeah.
Yeah. So I take 3 in the morning, 3 in the evening, 3 in the morning, 3 in the evening, three in the
I
morning,
only
three in
take.
the evening.
God, I didn't know that. I only take
But
one.
yeah, Monday through Friday. So I'm
Really?
taking six
So you're
pills a day.
taking 6 pills a day.
30 pills by Monday through Friday. So by Friday, it's built up in my system. I don't feel great. I don't feel as bad as the IV chemo,
Yeah.
but the mind, the messing with your mind is now I've got to take 3 pills. And let's say it's Thursday morning and I wake up nauseous because it's in you. You're constantly in you. You got to stare at these pills in your hand and go, all right, it's time to take this. And you know you're about to be sick in about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that's the struggle that I have now. And I giggle about it every morning. I just look at the pills in my hand and I'm like, damn, man, this sucks. Whap,
Yeah.
chug, on with my day.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if you guys can tell with the hands and everybody who's chiming in on this conversation and joining the is this oral chemo has given me like really like it looks like my hands have been like I'm washing my hands in oil. Like it's that really weird brown oily, that like almost like brand new oil, not black motor oil, but like brand new oil.
Yeah.
It's kind of got that goldeny hue.
Huh.
That's what my fingers look like now, and it's developing all of these like really weird spots, and it's making the lines in my hands go really dark.
Huh.
So there's all this like neuropathy and all of these things that happen
Yeah.
with this meds that are just not. It's not just nausea, right? It's cramping. It's you're tired. You have all of this stuff, but you just got to keep trucking, man.
Yeah.
Like
Right. Agreed.
like I feel good enough to go to work, so I go to work. 3 weeks ago when I started this thing, I started working out twice a week now. It's a little bit different than what I'm used to because I've got an ostomy and I got to take it easy. But for me, I'm doing something that's trying to get back into that headspace of what jujitsu used to do for me, like have that little that mental break.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting it through different things now,
That's
But
awesome.
I did a 6 mile walk on Saturday, and I hadn't walked that long, and man, I couldn't tell you. It's probably been a year.
Yeah.
So, keeping
Crazy.
that perspective of this isn't. It's not a death sentence. You got to live your life, man. You got to get out there, and it's like sometimes when you have a cold and you're not feeling well, that doesn't mean you're like, you're giving up. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
just got to kind of push through it. You're going to have good days and bad days. Friday last week was a really shitty day. You know what I mean? And that's just part of this thing, man.
Yeah.
You're going to have some good ones and you're going to have some bad ones. But the cool thing of it is you get to differentiate the two when you still wake up in the morning.
That's right. You have the choice every morning, right?
Yep.
And man, I really appreciate this too because I'll be honest with you, like I'm at right is that's I feel like I'm in a good spot with treatment. I feel like I'm in a good spot with like vision and purpose and moving forward. I feel like I'm in a good spot like work wise, as far as like Ubering. Like I Ubered. I mean, I said this earlier, but like from 3 a.m. I started Ubering at 3 a.m. this morning. Then I'm in construction too. I don't know if we talked about that,
Yeah, we did a
but
little bit. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, and so I feel, but the one thing that's lacking, and I feel like I'm, in a pretty good spot with my diet because I take all my supplements every day. My
Yep.
doctor actually gave me supplements that would he combat the cancer that I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma. I was like, so the
Really?
regimen, like, yeah, I take krill oil, I take zinc, of course, a lot of stuff you take, black elderberry, apple cider vinegar,
Yep.
that's MK7. I take that. I take a probiotic. I
What's the
take
MK? What's the MK7? I've never heard of that.
I don't know. Let me get it. It's I'll show it to you, but it's I don't know. He just told me I'm supposed to take it, man.
Look, like I said, you've never in your life went, nah, doc, that's bullshit. I'm not taking that. You're like, yeah, okay,
I
cool.
was, I was like,
Sign,
I have
sign me
no
up.
idea. Donna could tell you probably, but and then I also take this uh, this NA cysteine or something like that, which is supposed to be good for preventing like help with memory and not prevent
Man, I need
um,
that.
dementia.
I need that.
So
I
yeah,
don't know.
it's a and then I take this. I found these vitamins through this company called Live Good, which is I'm gonna start promoting that I think. But I take vitamins, and then I drink. I gotta make some more juice, but I drink the juice when I'm really in a zone. I drink 2 bottles a day. So then you're making a batch every 5 days.
So
Um,
that'll last you 5 days at 2 a day. So you're 10, 16 ounce.
it'll last you 4 days, and then I usually take a day off.
Yeah.
And so when I'm in the best rhythm, but I think that my point in all that was it's good to it's like we said earlier, like talking like this and hearing like what you're saying because I know like I need that's just the exercise and it's simple. It's a 15-minute decision.
Yep.
I mean that's it. It's a 15-minute decision,
And it takes you longer sometimes to make the choice to just put your shoes on and go out the door.
then it does to
And,
do it.
and then you could contemplate about it for 30 minutes and you'd already be done. Like you'd
I
already be
know.
done. Like
Well, the
what,
problem
like,
is while you're contemplating it, then people get on your phone and start scrolling social media, and then before you know it, you've wasted 45 minutes.
I had this conversation with my son right before we got on today about,
Yeah,
um, I put my phone into airplane mode when I'm in meetings, because I
yeah,
don't want to be distracted when I'm running a meeting. And it's a lot of technical information that you want to get right. And you want to make sure that you're giving the attention, right? Like really
hmm
paying attention to people in the room. That's what you do, right?
yeah.
And he said, "Well, there's technology for that." And I go, "Yeah, it's the button that I push that goes to airplane mode. That's the technology. I don't need another app to help me do all
To
this
help
stuff.
me,
I just take this phone and I turn it off, or I
yeah,
put it in airplane mode." And the comment was because there was a text message he sent me at 2:30 while I was in this meeting, and I didn't get it till 6.
right.
And on the phone, it shows me I got it at 6. And on his phone, it shows that he sent it out at 2:30. And I said, "Son, you're mad that I didn't get your message, and I'm sorry about that. But the truth of the matter is, whether I turn my phone off, throw it in the lake, go get it later, I wasn't going to touch it till after the meeting. So I wasn't going to get to it anyways. It's not a personal slight. It's just that
It's a
with this
choice.
this chemo brain that I have to focus. Because if I don't focus, I'll be sitting here talking and then go, what were we talking about? Because it happens a lot lately. And it's crazy that, chemo
Yeah.
brain is a real thing. It's just really, really bananas to me.
Hey, well, Christy in the chat, she's like, y'all talk longer and more than women.
Hey, that's what I'm
Hey,
good at.
me too, man. So tell me like where you are as far as like and like moving forward and you know what I'm saying? Like what's the timeline? What's
So
your timeline to get yeah. How many
tracking
more
everything
chemo
right
treatments and
now
stuff
is
do you have?
like
Yeah.
you've got I think today was number 12 of chemo radiation. So I have this week to Friday, next week to Friday, and then I think I'm done, all going well. That
Yeah.
means I don't get sick. I don't have, the flu or something that keeps me from getting treatment, right? Because we all have compromised immune systems right now.
Right.
And if everything goes well, my last oral chemo and my oral chemo and radiation will be on the 20th. So I think it's 11 left. I think it's like right there.
Okay.
And then we'll do some more scans. Like I said, everything seemed to be going in the right direction after the first round of chemo. The tumor has shrunk in thickness, and it looks like the radiation. And I mean, because we're talking medically, I can kind of tell you what's going on. Medically, like when they shoot
Yeah.
that radiation inside your intestines, it really aggravates and it stimulates mucus, right? So just as you get like saliva in your mouth, well, it's the same tube here that it is in the other end. And your colon and your rectum, they create mucus to help things slip down, and they also make sure that things are regenerating. So you hit this stuff with radiation, you get this kind of overabundance of mucus, and that was kind of shocking to me of the discharge that comes out, because nothing's been going through there since I had the ostomy surgery. So I told
Yeah.
my wife, like 3 days into this radiation, I was like, I think I got to use the restroom. And she's like, what do you mean? Like, she's like, in the bag. And I go, no, out of my original hole. And that's very weird. And that's what it is. So when I asked the doctor, because I was freaking out, man, and I see the
Yeah.
radiation oncologist once a week. So I went in there on Monday and I was all jazzed up. I was like, hey, everything's going good. I feel fine. But what the heck is coming out of me? And when he explained everything and what's going on, it made sense. He said, it's not blood. No, it's not blood. And he goes, it's kind of mucusy. It kind of, and he described it very, very perfectly. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you know exactly what I'm talking about. And he said, that's another good sign that the tumor tissue is dying from the
Oh, that's
radiation.
good. Yeah. Okay.
So we don't have any images of it yet because I'm only 3 weeks. They were not going to do any imaging till the end. So I take
Which would be April.
Yep. Yeah. So all going well, I think surgery will be mid to late April.
Okay. That's
With
good.
no setbacks of treatment. Like I said, if I get sick and they have to postpone treatment a week, it kind of pushes one way or the other. That's why it's like mid to late April. I think it'll be exactly for the surgery. The surgery
Yeah.
is so I have this ostomy on this side. They have to take it and put an ileostomy on the other side so they can redo the surgery. So that'll take 3 months of that surgery to heal, and then once the reconnection heals, then they'll what do they say, reverse the ileostomy, and that should only take about another month. So April surgery, May, June, July would probably be me healed up from that actual surgery.
Yeah.
And then they said somewhere in there they're going to do another round of IV chemo. And I don't know if it's exactly what I was on before, if it's the same regimen. I got no idea. But they said typically after surgery, they like to hit you one more time with, any kind of massive like IV chemo to make sure there's no floating things going on.
Right.
And so then they got to undo the ileostomy after June, July. Then I figured that's going to be like probably October, November before all surgeries are done. And I'm back to I'm back to my new normal, right?
Yeah.
And then, my whole goal, right? My life, I live in goals. I gotta have something to look forward to or something to do. I want to be back doing jujitsu in like February next year.
Right. I'm with you, man. We're gonna connect more.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
This isn't the last time you see me, buddy.
Oh
I
Lord,
promise.
no, man. We're gonna do this again. This
Yeah,
is too
for
fun.
sure.
Yeah,
For
too
sure.
fun. So, anyway, well, man, definitely praying for you, and I know you're praying for us, and I've got one of the
Absolutely.
ladies on here is like they're adding you to their prayer list too, and so
I appreciate that, everybody. And
yeah,
believe me,
yeah.
I don't know
Are you up there
everybody's
tomorrow?
name. Up where? No.
At the
Well, I'm there every morning. So
that's
my
right,
treatment time
but you're
now
not
is 7 a.m.
but you're not
No,
treating
I
it.
don't. The tomorrow is
I'm there tomorrow.
what up on what time?
My appointment. I had to meet my doctor appointment's at 9:15. My blood lab works at 9:15. They go to my doctor, so infusion's like 10:30, probably somewhere in there.
Yeah,
my
I'll be
I should tell you
out
about
of
the
there.
insurance situation. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, we'll see. I'll definitely get together and we'll stay in touch
Absolutely,
for
man.
sure. But man, this has been freaking awesome, man. Thank you so
It has.
much.
I really appreciate you doing this, man. Like I
Yeah,
really
man. Thank you
appreciate
for
you putting
coming
this
on.
together.
So
Absolutely,
this is
anytime.
my list. Oh crap! Almost spilled my lip. But look, that's my list up there of people that I want that we're gonna have on this thing.
Yeah, it's awesome,
And,
dude.
yeah, and I think too, I really want to. I mean, the people that you know too. It's not just cancer, right? It's like people that have gone through other things too, so like I've got a guy that's, in recovery, and um I'm gonna have my kids on here because all my kids have just here have them, and the one I really want to have on here is Donna. We gotta,
Yeah.
we have to schedule that one because that's I want that to be really personal in the fact that, there's things that choices that we make that weren't the best, but
Sure.
I think it's important to have the conversation about those choices that we made and how they impacted other people, and how you got it through. You made it through. I mean, we've been married 32 years. You and your wife
It's
been married for
amazing,
how
man.
long?
Oh, we're going on 19 this year.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but
And so,
we were together 5 years before we got married. So,
right,
we've been together since 2001.
yeah. We've been together since we've been toge- we've been together since 88.
High school sweethearts.
No, not, man, I was in college, dude. I went to college. I was in 1987. So,
What? How old are you,
yeah, dude,
man?
I graduated high school. I'm 55.
Crazy. That's
I
crazy. I
know.
would have never guessed, man. I thought you were my age or younger. No bullshit.
Come on, man. That's all right.
I'm serious, man. I was like, look at how gray I am, dude. You barely got a little.
Dude, me too, though. Look,
This thing is
I mean,
white.
yeah, well, I've got it going on. I have my genetics are from my peepaw. My mom, they say you get it from your
I mean, dude,
mother's
I've seen you take
dad.
that hat off and that full head of brown hair, dude. This thing, boy, this is so gray. When I cut it this short, it looks like it's missing.
Yeah, but probably when you're done with the chemo, it'll start thickening back up, right?
I hope. I hope.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
like we said through this whole thing, it doesn't even matter, man. I don't care if I'm
No,
bald
man.
headed,
Man, that's
shitting in
it.
a, shitting in a bag, taking oral. Like, dude, I'm alive today and I feel great.
Oh man, I don't know what happened. I had some button here. I no, I totally agree, and I just feel like that's a perspective is everything, and how you approach it, and it's not. And here's the thing too, like you said earlier, every day's not great. I mean, I have had days where I'm frustrated and don't know what I'm gonna do, and just bad days,
And that
um,
comes in. Maybe you feel
so
bad, like you said. Maybe you're
yeah, it's just
frustrated,
or
dude.
you've had you get worried about, and honestly, like I've had some, like I had, you run into people that, um, like for instance, I ran into someone who had multiple myeloma that, passed away. And, I didn't run into them, but a family member of someone,
Yeah.
and so that you mentally have got to choose when you hear something like that, right? Because
Oh,
you know it, like you said earlier, um, one, it gives you a sense of urgency to this life, that, and everybody should have it. I mean, stuff that I didn't, stuff like having a will and life insurance and living, and like you said, just, soaking it up, and taking advantage of opportunities, that stuff, it gives you that sense of urgency. But
that
you
first
also,
week, that's when I got my will and all of
me too.
the
I was
NDA,
freaking out.
the do not resuscitate and
Me
all
too.
that stuff that
Yeah.
kept, dude. That was
I didn't have it.
number one. And
I didn't have it.
then
And
throughout,
I had term life insurance. So now I can't get life insurance.
yeah,
And, cause I didn't re-up it. So whatever. What you gonna do?
yeah. Look,
So
man, we've made these, like you said, the choices that we've made. We now get to reflect on them, and hopefully in the future we can discuss them with the people that we made those choices with, and really have
right.
real conversations about it. And I think
Agreed.
reflection is a huge part of this recovery, and this
I do too.
thing that we're doing is like you have to be okay with um, not being okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's
And
just
like
some
if
things.
they tell you, yeah, I mean, if they say, okay, it's a, like in my case, they say they haven't really given percentages, they said, well, it's not if, it's when.
Yep.
Okay. And so you can take a statement like that and you can hear it and it can depress you. Or you
Oh,
can take a statement like that and say, you know what? My win will be 25 years from now. You know,
But it's okay,
Well,
right? Like
right.
whatever feelings you go through, like it's never the one feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And at least in my experience, it's all the feelings, right? Like you make the
Right.
comment and you say, like the friend of ours that died from colon cancer, 4 or 5 years ago, dude, when they said those words, colon, you have colon cancer, that was immediately what I
First
thought of.
thought. Yeah,
Boom,
exactly.
bang. And it's just like, and you can't unthink that. So you have the
Yeah.
fear, you're scared, but then your mindset kicks in and you're like, you've been in tough positions before, man. Like this is just another thing. This is just another
Yeah.
thing. I was talking to somebody, I dropped a friend off at the airport and we were kind of talking on the way back to the house today. He was calling me on the phone and I said, there's a lot of things in my life that I feel that has prepared me for the next step. And I think everybody has those same determining parts in their life that has prepared them for the next step. Sometimes we just choose to ignore that we've been through all of that stuff to make us as strong and resilient as we are today. And
Yeah.
if this is any, and that's why that reflection is really important. You can't monitor your life in such micro view. You can't look at day to day to day to day to day. If you just pull it back a little bit and go to, like a different elevation and give yourself some grace and say, yeah, but was the week good? Did I have a good
Yeah.
week and it was just one bad day? Or, if it was a, like for my chemo, that was the first IV stuff. It was like, is it a bad week and a good week? So how was the month? Oh, I survived it. You know what I mean? Like there's all of these little things that kind of prepare you to the next step. And we're all going through it. So whatever you feel is what you feel. But that doesn't mean that's where you have to stay.
Exactly. And it's
You
not
can be
about being
depressed.
yeah, exactly. It's not being fake positive. You know, like the fake. It's not fake. It's like says BS like that. So,
Yeah,
all right,
everything's
man.
great, but white knuckle it.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah,
everybody, give yourself some grace and be okay with not being okay. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with it.
yeah, 100%. All right, my brother. Well, man, let's get together and eat something or do something.
Let's
So
do
we'll
it.
talk.
Hey,
I'll,
Steve,
I'll
I
be in
really
touch,
appreciate it.
man. Thank you
Thanks,
too. I
everybody.
can't wait to meet your. I can't wait to meet your family and
It's gonna be
connect
great,
with them
man.
too. Yeah, we
Yeah,
got to do that.
absolutely.
Get our families together.
Yeah, for
So.
sure.
Oh
Well,
yeah, I
this-
forgot to do that too. I forgot to put this up there. That's your
yeah,
wife's right there. We didn't put that up
yeah.
earlier.
That's my wife. That's my daughter, my son,
Yeah.
and me. This was right before diagnosis. We went
Wow.
up to Colorado and had a little vacation. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. All right, man. Well, listen, we'll be in touch.
thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for being on. All right, brother.
Appreciate it. Bye bye.
All right, we'll talk to you later. All right, bye. All right, you guys, man, that was freaking awesome. So, hey, coming up, we've got just got so many great stories coming up, and if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, man, do that. Share that for me. Share Spotify. Share iTunes. Also, these will be up on iTunes and Spotify probably tomorrow, if not tonight. But I'll get them uploaded, and you can get those as well. So, also, if you one other thing, gonna start putting some stories up and being more consistent on that. And if you follow me on Facebook, if you like, share, and comment on my post, it's very, very helpful, and it just kind of gets the word out so that people can connect with us. And anyway, thanks for joining in tonight. We had a great group of people join in live, and hopefully share this. It's a great story for people to hear, and I think you will. I think this will be a blessing to a lot of people. All right, so all right. Until then, let me see here. Where am I at in this thing? I'm gonna leave you the way I normally do. We'll take you out with "Stay True," and folks, appreciate it. Oh, what happened to it? There we go. See y'all next-